We wanted to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about our intrusion product and our video product categories. We've got some exciting new stuff coming up, new programs coming up with some discounts, and for the ADI folks, some EDPs. We got some stuff coming up that's really neat. And so for that, ADI has invited us to come online and talk to you a little bit about it, maybe get you a little excited. I've got Tom Meckler with us. He is our regional marketing manager. He is here to discuss and show you a lot about how the intrusion and video work together. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Mr. Tom Meckler.
Thanks, Ron, and thanks, Mike. Thanks to everybody for being on the meeting today. And what we're going to talk about today is integrating IP cameras with Bosch intrusion systems. And Bosch has some very unique capabilities in this area that you may or may not have heard of before, but there's some things that we can do that really add value to your customers and add value to you, and do things that really nobody else can do with, with one company. So what are we going to learn about today? We're going to learn how IP cameras can integrate with intrusion systems, and specifically Bosch IP cameras with Bosch intrusion systems. We're going to talk about why video analytics help improve security. So why would you do such a thing? Why would I want to integrate a camera with an intrusion system? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about real-world applications, and that's really the meat of it, right? Yeah, you can do this. You can connect this to that. That's great. What do I do with that, and why do my customers care? That's actually where we'll spend most of our time today. We'll have some opportunity for questions and answers, and again, as Mike pointed out, please use the Q&A tool that's inside Zoom, and we'll answer those questions at the end if that's okay. My presentation goes 30-35 minutes or so, so we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. And then after that, you'll get some links to some materials from Bosch that will help you understand this. We have a training program you can sign up to understand how to do this. We'll send you some information on who to contact in your part of the country, your part of the world, depending on where you are, on how do I obtain this product, how do I get it, that kind of stuff. So I want to start out with a poll though, and I'm going to ask a question. How do you think that Bosch cameras can be integrated with Bosch intrusion panels? And there's several options here. Just answer poll question number 1 right now. We're going to save poll question number 2 for later. If you don't mind, just go and use the tool to answer those questions. Are you seeing the poll, and are you able to answer those questions? Yes, we're starting to see some people come through. Somebody's answered question number 2 already. That's okay. You're getting your homework done early, no problem. So the question is, how can cameras be integrated with Bosch intrusion systems? Is it only using relays? Is it only using separate software? Can it be done directly through the network without special software? And can it be done directly through the network or through special software and through special software? And everybody's doing pretty good here. We've got 38% say directly through the network without special software, 63% say directly through the network and through video management systems. And I'm actually going to end the poll because I'll give you the answer. It's actually numbers 2 and 3. So if you answer directly through the network without special software, or directly through the network and through video management systems, that's correct. So most of you did pretty good. The overwhelming majority said directly through network and through video management systems. That answer is, of course, correct. We're going to shut down the poll right now. Hopefully the poll went away. Had a little trouble with that before. Well, here's 2 different options for how you can integrate Bosch intrusion panels and Bosch IP cameras. The one on the right I'll just mention first because that's not really where we're spending our time today. But Bosch has video management software, or BVMS. We also have some NVRs. They're called the DVAR series, the DVAR All-in-One 5000 and the DR 7000, or DVAR 7000, that include our BVMS as their user interface. And that means that they can integrate with our alarm panels, and you get some cool stuff out of that. Your ability to do command and control, so from the video management software, you can arm and disarm different areas of the panel. You can lock or unlock access control doors that are part of the panel, so that's pretty cool. You get a head-end display, so you can see alarm events as they happen on the user interface of the video management software. That's pretty cool. Event interaction, so someone disarms the system, someone swipes their card and has an access granted at an access reader. You can bring up video for that. And the video management software, BVMS, will support up to 20 panels per server. That's software, that's a thing unto itself. The really unique thing that Bosch does is we can integrate our cameras directly to the panels. So if you look at this box on the left, it's a direct machine-to-machine interaction. It's a direct machine-to-machine connection. They're connected over the network. So it's an IP camera, so obviously it's connected to a network. All Bosch panels ship with an Ethernet connection, so they can connect to the network. Over that same network, they can send commands to one another. They can tell each other to do things, and we're going to talk about how all that is a benefit. And these panels I show here, these B4512, B5512, B6512 control panels are all available from ADI. You can go pick them up today. Well, in today's world, I don't know if you can go pick them up today, but you can certainly get them from ADI right now, right today. And each camera actually supports 8 video content analysis events. What does that all mean? Well, let's get into that. Talking about our cameras for a second, and to kind of put this all together, it's good to understand exactly what a camera can do. We think about cameras as video. Of course, the camera's job is to record video for forensics or live view. That's their main job. That's what they're there for. And that's what CCTV, you know, old guys like me still talk about CCTV. That's what video is all about. But now cameras can also be a very intelligent sensor. And Bosch cameras have video content analysis built into them that allows them to detect multiple different types of events. So if we look at this list of events here, we have an object inside a field, or an object has entered a field or has exited a field. We have line crossings, loitering. We can tell if somebody's hanging around for a while. You know, okay, they walked in, but they walked out right away. I guess I don't really care. But if they're loitering in there, then I really do care. An idle object. Something has entered the field and has stayed there. Something has been removed, a removed object. We can detect crowds. Now, 6 months ago when we talked about detecting crowds, people didn't think about that often. But in today's world of the current situation we're all in, detecting a crowd, especially around a sales item in a store or a cashier's line in a store, we don't want crowds today, unfortunately. We can detect that. We can count people. We can count how many people are in an area. We can tell if somebody has fallen. So there's a lot of different things we can do with these analytics. And actually, there's a little bit more filtering, not a little bit more, but a lot more filtering we can do. So not only can we tell that something has gone from here to there, we know, the camera knows if that something is a person or a car or a motorcycle or bike or a truck. Because if a truck backs up to your loading dock, that's different than if a person walks up to your loading dock, and you might want to react differently to that. So the analytics can put that type of test or those filters on what they're trying to detect. Also size, color, location, orientation, are they standing up, are they laying down? All that stuff is already built into the cameras, and this is analytics at the edge that is already working. And the cameras can actually support up to 16 different analytics and they can run 8 of them in parallel. So they can do multiple things at once, and we're going to talk about some of the benefits of that as we move on further into the analytics. So now you have all this information, right? You have the camera has detected something. What do you do with it? Well, one thing you can do with it is you can tell a intrusion alarm panel, I've detected something. Think about what an intrusion alarm panel's job is. An intrusion alarm panel's job is to monitor detectors, and normally we think of detectors as door contacts and motion detectors and smoke detectors and whatever. So I'm an alarm panel, I'm monitoring those detectors, and if the detector tells me something has happened, something bad has happened, I'm supposed to report that in some way. I'm going to send a text, I'm going to send a report to the monitoring center, I'm going to send some, I'm going to make some noise at a keypad. All these different types of things based upon how severe the event is. So this graphic shows that information is exchanged between the camera and the alarm panel. And depending on how bad it is, I can decide how I want to report that. That's what an alarm panel's job is. You've told me something bad has happened. You'd like somebody to do something about it. I'm going to help get that somebody and get the proper somebody. So if, you know, on that keypad there, it says loitering near the back door. There's some person standing outside the back door of your kid's school. I'm not very happy about that. I don't think you are either. So when that happens, the camera can detect that, tell the panel that, and we make noise at the security desk keypad, or we make noise in the principal's office, and somebody goes and checks the video to see who's loitering by the back door. We could make an announcement. Someone is in an area they should not be in, or they've parked their car in the wrong place. We can trigger an announcement or pre-recorded message that says, please move your car, you're in the fire lane. We can send a text, and we'll get into some of the applications for why you would send a text for that too. Or if it's a really severe application or a severe event, there's a real risk, we can send a report to the monitoring station. And the alarm panel can do all that communication, because remember, the alarm panel's job is to communicate, to enunciate, to let you know that the bad thing has happened and we'd like to get some help. So that's what it does, and it gets that information from the camera. The alarm panel can also send commands to the camera. It can say, hey, I'm armed, so I want you to act in a different way. Or they just armed the panel. Can you send a text or a video image via email of what you see right now? Or can you send some information to the central station? Can you send some video data to the central station? So they can communicate back and forth. An important point to this is the camera is continuing to do its job. It's recording, it's sending video, it's part of your video management system, it's part of your surveillance system, it's doing its job. The alarm panel is still an alarm panel, it's still monitoring door contacts and motion detectors and whatever. This functionality is in addition to that. So they're neither is dedicated to this functionality. They can still do their everyday job and do this too, and that's important. So when we think about where would we apply some of these analytics and what would we do with them, and you know, Bosch really focuses on the commercial space. Of course, we have products that go in residential, especially our motion detectors. You know, I can't help but saying that, you know, we make the leading pet immune motion detectors, our blue line detectors. I couldn't help it, I'm sorry. But we're talking about video here, and really, for the most part, we focus on the commercial space. And different types of customers have different applications. Your education, your retail, your office space, military, government, banking. But all of them have similar requirements for things like this. For example, enforcing health and safety regulations. And boy, is that important today. Are people too close to one another? Are there too many people in an area? That's not good. Are there people are there less than 2 people in an area, you know, where we store medical records? I want to make sure there's 2 people in there. Perimeter protection, of course, perimeter protection, fence lines, parking lots, that kind of stuff. Parking monitoring. we'll talk about that a little bit, but people can do a lot of things that mess you up with their cars, and not just running you over, but things like parking in the fire lane, or parking behind the store, or parking in a place they shouldn't be. And we can detect that, and we can send an alert when it's required. Somebody tampering with the camera, and boy, queuing alarm. That's something that we really didn't think about 6 months ago. How many people are in line right now? Because I should only have so many people in line at my store because of everything that's going on these days. Well, all those things are events that can be detected by the camera, and you'd want them reported in some way so that somebody can respond to the event. That's what this is all about. So let's talk about some applications. Here's an application for what we call object left behind, idle object, object in field, and it's a fire emergency door. So it's the emergency exit. This one happens to be in the back of a store in the storage area. That could be an ADI storage area, right? When you think about it, it's not, but it could be. That's an emergency exit. And what has happened is there's a pile of boxes on a skid, and somebody told some kid who works in that warehouse, hey, that pile of boxes is in the way, it's in an aisle someplace, move it so it's out of the way. So they're looking for a place to put it, and they see this nice empty space right in front of the fire door, so they drop the pile of boxes right in front of the fire door, in front of the exit, the emergency exit. Well, guess what? It's not an emergency exit anymore because nobody can get out it because they can't get past the boxes. That's a problem. And if you have a commercial facility and someone blocks your fire door, and it happens to be the same day that the fire marshal is doing an inspection and they see your fire doors blocked, they're going to write you a citation. And if it gets to a point where you just keep doing it, they're going to close you down. We've had customers who had this complaint. So what we can do with our camera is we can monitor that area in front of the door, and we can tell if something has been left in front of there. I'm supposed to be able to see the floor in front of that door, and I can't see it because there's a pile of boxes there. So I'm going to activate an object left behind, an idle object alert, and now I'm going to tell the alarm panel that this has happened. In this case, maybe it's just make some noise at the keypad, beep the keypad so that somebody walks over and says, oh, fire door blocked, I got to move the stuff. But it could be a text. You're not going to call the police. You're not going to send a report to the monitoring center because of this, but you could send a text. You could make a little noise. You could play a message on a speaker so somebody comes, they move the offending pile of boxes, and now the fire marshal's happy. And God forbid, if there's some sort of emergency in this facility and somebody needs that door, they have free access to the door. So what it does is it makes the building safer, and it allows business continuity because the fire marshal isn't yelling at you. It does all those things, and it's one part of the system. Now, that camera might have a job to be looking for people walking down that hallway or coming through that door as well. And because it can handle multiple events at the same time, it can do all of those things in addition to looking for this idle object that is put in front of the door. Here's another application that combines multiple analytics and really provides a lot of value. I like to call this approach and breach. So think about protecting your facility outdoors with a fence line. Why do we have a fence? We have a fence to keep the bad guys out, right? That's what the fence is for. Well, some bad guys really want to get in, so they jump our fence. Wouldn't it be nice if we could scare them away before they jump the fence? Well, what we can do is actually put a camera, and this camera this is a real application here. That camera is looking down that fence line. That red box is looking for people that are approaching the fence and hanging out for a little while. A little while might just be 10 or 20 seconds, right? So someone has approached the fence. They're getting close to the fence. We don't want them to jump the fence. We want them to just go away. Just go away, people, right? So what we can do is detect that someone is loitering in that area and activate an alert. When we activate that alert, the panel trips a relay or contacts or works with our Bosch PA systems. By the way, Bosch makes IP PA systems as well, in case you didn't know. And the PA system plays a message that says, you are approaching a secured area, please leave immediately. Now, if they're a smart burglar, I don't know how many smart burglars there are, but if they're a smart burglar, they realize they've already been detected, so maybe they run away. Hopefully they run away, everybody's happy, right? But what if they don't? What if they decide, yeah, forget this, I'm jumping the fence, and they jump the fence? That green line is a trip line. It's a line crossing. It's in the same camera, but it's a second analytic that is actually a line crossing, and it activates a second different output. So approach the fence, hang out in this loitering area, and I activate an input on the panel or a zone on the panel that doesn't send any reports, it just makes some noise. Jump the fence, trip that trip line, and activate a different point on the panel, which activates a full alarm, turns on the siren, calls the police, calls the guards, release the hounds, whatever you're going to do. But it's a second level of intrusion, and it's something that we really need to react to now. One camera, one connection to the alarm panel over the network. Again, this isn't relay magic here. This is intelligent integration and intelligence that allows the system as a whole to react in the way that you want it to. That's a feature you can get from this capability. Parking lots. Think about a commercial facility, and this, I point out, looks like the back of my favorite Starbucks here in Webster, New York. And a very common or favorite way for burglars to rob a small retail facility is you and I get together, one of us decides they're going to be the burglar and one's going to be the getaway driver. I park the car, I'm going to be the getaway driver, and I park the car by the emergency exit of the store. You go steal some good stuff from the store and come out the emergency exit, and I'm waiting for you, and we take off with the stuff. Don't do that, please. But that's what burglars do. But none of us are burglars, so we're not going to do that. We can detect that a car is sitting around loitering in a place it's not supposed to be. We know it's not a person. We know it's a car because we can detect the size of the object. So when we detect that there is a car in the area behind the store in an area it's not supposed to be, we can alert the alarm system. When we alert the alarm system, we make some noise at a keypad, we send a text to the store manager, we have a recurring theme here, we're going to communicate in some way to somebody, so they come out and they say, hey, get out of here, move your car. And then when the burglar comes out with all their stuff, his getaway driver is gone and you catch them both. So that's one of the things we can do with that. We can tell if a car is in the fire lane and we can report that. We can tell if a car's in the bus lane at the school. So if the car's in the bus lane at the school and the buses are coming, that parent's waiting to pick up their kid and they don't realize there's going to be a dozen buses coming in. The bus drivers are mad because they got to drive around the car. The car driver is mad because now they're surrounded by buses and they can't get out. You don't want them to park there. They're not supposed to be there. When somebody's in the bus loop, you send a text to the security guard and they walk out and, hey, would you mind if you move your car a little bit? All the buses are coming. Little simple things like this that add security, make the business run more smoothly. It really just, as a solution, does a lot for your customers. Museums. And museums, this feature that we have can also be used for retail applications. Our cameras, one of the analytics we have is called museum mode. And what it allows you to do is detect if someone gets too close to something. In a museum, they don't like to put up stuff around the displays and the pictures and items that might be, because they want people to enjoy them, you know, get up close and take a look, as long as you don't get too close. So we can actually, in the camera, we can detect if someone is too close to one of these pictures, or they're about to touch one of these pictures. And we can set an alert. And if somebody's about to reach over at a picture, we can set an alert that plays over the PA, please step back away from the display, thank you very much. it's not, we're not going to, release the hounds here. But what if one of those pictures disappears? The same camera that's running the museum mode to detect if somebody's moving too close to the picture and plays a message that says, hey, please move away, can detect if the picture has been removed. And if the picture's been removed, well, that's a whole different thing. Somebody's stolen a piece of art. Now we activate an alarm. Maybe we lock all the doors, we alert the guards, we play the sirens, whatever we need to do to catch the person before they get out of the museum with the Mona Lisa, right? Same camera, 2 analytics, 2 inputs to the panel, 2 intelligent inputs to the panel, 2 different reactions depending on what is happening within the view of the camera. Loitering. I mentioned this before a little bit on that first slide, and loitering detection is a common use for our cameras. And think about that. If you're the bad guy, often you're kind of hanging around someplace you shouldn't be before you commit your crime. I don't know what this guy is doing. I don't really want to think about what this guy is doing. But I know that that area is not supposed to have any people in it right now. It's an area that I have said, people loitering in this area, I want them to go away. Even though that's a picnic area, it looks like people can be there sometimes. We'll get to that later. But right now, I don't want anybody there. So if somebody's loitering in the area, I can actually alert the alarm system, have somebody go out, chase them away, play a message, hey, you're in a secure area, please leave immediately. Those kinds of things can be accomplished with that. My favorite application for this is actually in a school. So if you think about the perimeter of a school, we often have cameras that are looking at the perimeter to see what's going on. Well, some of those cameras can be programmed to look for someone loitering by a door in the school. So if somebody's hanging out by a door in the school while the school's in session or kids are in the school, they're up to no good. Maybe it's something really bad, but maybe it's just some kid who's been suspended and he wants to beat up some other kids, so he's waiting for his buddy to open the door for him, whatever. But the camera can detect somebody's hanging out by the back door of the school. They ain't supposed to be there. Trigger the alarm panel, trigger some noise, send a message to the principal, send a message to the security, get somebody over there to see, hey, what's going on with the situation? Who is that person loitering by that door to the school, and what do they got in mind? All of this can be accomplished with that. And again, it's using the camera you're going to put there anyhow to monitor the perimeter of the school. So you're going to put a Bosch camera on the corner of that school to look over the area to see what's going on, especially for forensics. Well, now that camera can have a job during the day as well and keep the bad guy out of your school when the good kids are in there. We have another poll. Now, for those of you who didn't answer the question when we had it open before, which would be basically 0, it looks like everybody answered, but you get to answer again. You don't have to answer question number 1 this time, but if you would answer question number 2, that would be great. Can an intrusion system be used to control a camera? And everybody's starting to, I guess you're listening because everybody's starting to say yes. So can an intrusion system be used to control a camera? We've got 5, 6 folks have, and you can see I got 2 monitors here. So if I'm looking like, the TV reporter who's looking at the wrong camera, that's because I'm looking at my monitor while you all are looking at me on the camera. So it looks like we're getting way close to 100% of participants are saying an intrusion system can be used to control a camera. And I'm going to share the results. And for those of you who answered the other questions, again, thank you very much. You are correct. But yes, an intrusion system can be used to control a camera. And again, why would you do such a thing? Why would you ever use an intrusion system to control a camera? Well, remember I said that the cameras have multiple VCA actions that they can take. They have multiple video content analysis events that they can detect. you might want them to detect different things at different times. So imagine that you are a camera and you're looking out at the front parking lot in front of a store. And during the day, your job is to detect if cars are driving too fast, or they're parked in the wrong spots, or parked in the fire lane, or one of my customers has fallen over, maybe they're hurt in the parking lot. I detect that a person has fallen, and we're going to react to all that stuff. At night, your job is to detect if someone is approaching the store because the store is closed, they're not supposed to be there, and they're hanging out in front of the store. Well, maybe it's because they're a customer who wants to come to the store and they're upset that it's closed. They realize it's closed and they run away. Or maybe it's the burglar who's about to throw a brick through your front window. Well, the camera can detect either one of those things. And if it detects somebody too close to the store, the system can actually play a message that says, you know, thank you for your interest. Please come back during business hours. Well, you wouldn't want to scare away customers during business hours, so the camera has to know whether it's day or night. How does the camera know whether it's day or night? The alarm panel sends it a message. When you arm the panel, and if the system is armed, nobody's supposed to be in the store. There are not supposed to be any people here. So if the system is armed, it sends a signal to the camera that says, okay, the system is armed. Nobody's supposed to be here. So I'm going to stop looking for cars driving too fast or parked in the fire lane. Now I'm going to start looking for people that are loitering by the front of the store. And if someone is loitering by the front of the store, I'm going to activate an input on the alarm panel that causes a message to be played that hopefully scares them away. Thank you for your interest. Please come back during business hours. And then I might have a second loitering alarm if they don't leave that actually activates an alarm and says, okay, well, you didn't leave, so sit down and wait for the police. Something to, you know, to show that there's a different level of intrusion here. But the moral of that story is that the alarm panel can tell the camera when it should run which analytic. What should you be doing right now, camera? Here's your job when the store is open. Here's your job when the store is closed. Same thing with this guy who's loitering out. By the way, that is the back of our facility in Aachen, Germany. I'm sorry, no, in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. That's the back of the facility. And at lunchtime, it's okay for people to hang out there. So we don't care if anybody's loitering at those picnic tables at lunchtime. We just don't want them there at other times. The panel has schedules that it can run. So the panel can actually trip an input on the camera during a certain amount of time that says it's okay for people to be in the picnic area now. So turn off the loitering analytic because I don't care if they're there eating their lunch. And then it turns it back on when they're not supposed to be there. So the alarm panel can control how the camera works because the alarm panel knows if people are supposed to be here or not. The system has been armed or has been disarmed. The alarm panel has schedules, so it knows what time of day it is and when certain things should happen. So it can do all of that and trigger the camera and control the camera. What do you think this guy's up to? He's up to no good. He's about to spray paint the front of your camera. He's about to spray paint the dome or spray paint the lens. And if he does that, the camera can't see anymore. And if the camera can't see anymore, he can come back and steal some stuff later because he's not going to be seen. That's bad, right? Well, the camera can actually detect that it has lost its video. The camera can detect if someone has sprayed the dome. The camera can detect if somebody has taken it and pointed it up at the ceiling. Normally it's looking down at the doors, but now it's looking up at the ceiling because somebody hit it with a broom handle because they want to come empty the warehouse later, and it's lost its reference image. And it can respond to those things with a tamper alert. That tamper alert can be sent to the alarm panel. And like any tamper alert, the alarm panel will report that, and it will tell somebody, and it'll send a report. But maybe more importantly, if it's set up properly, the alarm panel won't allow you to arm it unless you resolve the tamper issue. So you can't leave until you point the camera back. So you point the camera back, and you catch the bad guy. So that's kind of a neat thing. The camera can detect if it's been tampered with. The alarm panel can report if the camera's been tampered with, and even make sure that just just like you can't leave your building with the back door open without either bypassing it or closing the door, you can't leave with the camera having been tampered with. Event verification, Bosch has the ability to send video from our cameras directly to the central station through a number of different services. We have our own cloud connection, cloud-based services with some central stations. So you get 10 seconds before the alarm, 10 seconds after the alarm, you get the video from the alarm itself, and the camera normally knows, okay, I'm supposed to send that, I saw an alarm. Well, the alarm panel can actually tell the camera, I have an alarm and I want you to send the video. Somebody pressed a panic button, somebody walked by a motion detector, somebody opened the door they shouldn't have opened, I have an alarm, I want you to send the video, Mr. Camera. So I send an input to you, you say, okay, I'm supposed to send this to the central station, you send that video to the central station. So it all works as a cohesive system that really just adds value, adds security, makes your system run better, and adds business continuity. So I hope that this helps you better understand some of the things you can do by combining intrusion panels with Bosch IP cameras. And it's more than just, you know, the burglar broke in. It's more than just, yeah, we have some video for forensics. It actually turns your camera into an active device that adds security, adds safety, allows your customers to manage their businesses more effectively. It's really a synergistic tool by combining two things you were going to sell anyhow. You're going to sell them cameras, you're going to sell them an intrusion system. If you make that a Bosch system, you can sell them capability that you can't get from anywhere else. So that is what I have for today. I want to thank you all for your time. I'm actually going to turn this over to Roman Resnick. I hope I pronounced your name properly, and Roman has a couple of things that he'd like to talk about. Thank you all for your time. After Roman is completed, we'll go through some of the questions and answers.
Thank you, Tom. I'd like to thank everyone for joining our webinar today, and thank Tom and Ron with Bosch for what was a great webinar. I am Roman Resnick. I've been with ADI for about 16 years, most of it in the ADI systems team. It's a group of people who can help you configure systems and all the different technologies that ADI carries in the products and vendor partners that we support. Several years ago, ADI created the IP programming team with locations in Louisville, Kentucky and Toronto, Canada. It started out in the video surveillance area, where we upgrade the firmware and set the IP parameters for IP cameras. Now we've expanded to include programming NVRs and servers, and in addition to intrusion systems, and also have the capability to program other products like IP intercom systems and access control systems. The benefits of IP programming include reducing on-site labor by pre-programming devices and having on-site technicians simply mount the cameras. So if you have different levels of skilled technicians, you can send the lower level technicians out to do the camera mounting, and then if required, you can have the more experienced ones possibly get in remotely and do the final adjustments. So it's a real labor saving offering. We also virtually eliminate out-of-box failures because we inspect the cameras for physical damage out of the box, and we also check for video. And if it's a pan-tilt zoom camera, we also test that functionality as well. The cameras and or the boxes can be labeled with your specific designations, and those can be like camera number to match something in your floor plan, a camera location, you know, like lunchroom or front door or something like that, or even the IP address. So that's kind of flexible. So really, just wanted to introduce you to that offering, and the IP Programming Center from ADI stands ready to help your business reduce time and labor. And if you have a job that you want to try out, contact your local branch or salesperson, and they can give you all the information and get you set up. Thank you very much. Turn it back over to Tom and questions.
Thanks, Roman. And we did get a few questions, so thank you for everybody who asked some questions. And we answered some of those directly, but for the benefit of all, we'll read the questions back and we'll go ahead and answer them. Ron, can you go ahead and see those questions that have already been answered?
Sure can. So they asked, there was a question that came up, can the loitering be scheduled? And we said, yes, it can. We had a question about GV4 panels. These are the older legacy radionics panels. Does this work with GV4s? Does not through direct connect through IP. I'm correct in that, right, Tom?
Right, you're correct. So the GV4 panels can be used with our video management software, but they do not have the direct connection to the cameras.
That's correct.
That's only with our panels that have the onboard Ethernet. So that would be any of our panels that have a B as their first initial. So B35, well, not 35 because it doesn't support cameras. B45, 12, 55, 12, 65, 12 are the products that are available through ADI that have that feature.
Correct. And I had a question about anybody who's new to the product line, who has never programmed this or needs a little assistance. I invite you to please reach out to me. My phone number is area code 315-576-7218. I will point you in the right direction. There are numerous ways that you can find and figure out. We have online training. We have YouTube videos specific to particular parts of the training that we can certainly guide you to.